Most predators who show up at the Sting House are pretty smart, but this dude actually said something as idiotic as this.
I could tell you're a therapist, I know. I mean, not just...
You think I'm a therapist?
Yeah, this guy was definitely the dumbest person on the show. So here's the unsettling tale of John Wesley Elliott, a 39-year-old man from Marshall County who was a worker at a door manufacturing company. Okay, so brace yourself because this gets into the disturbing stuff real quick. Picture this. John, in all his questionable glory, started chatting with someone he believed was much younger than him. And yeah, Dreamin' of Fairies was the charming screen name he decided to go with. If that username wasn't cringe enough, then guess what? This loser had an even nastier username. Bald Beaver Hunter 42025. Let that lovely little online handle set the tone for just how disturbing things are gonna get. But before that, let's dive into the chat logs and you'll see how things escalated at an alarming rate. 12 minutes into the conversation, John spilled the beans on his hobbies, computers, and of course, the list went on.
His hobby is taking pictures of himself masturbating and then sends the decoy some of those shots.
From computers to explicit selfies, John's chat history was nightmare-inducing. Apparently, someone needed a crash course in societal norms because this dude didn't hesitate to show his true colors real quick. And to add to how uncomfortable he was making things, he casually told her about what he did with his tool during his free time. It boggles the mind how he convinced himself to get this dirty this quick with someone he'd only just met. But hold on, cause things were about to get worse. John, in his infinite wisdom, expressed the desire to stand outside this person's window and, well, do his thing. Well, John, here's something you should know. That crazy idea of yours is in no way romantic. I mean, take a step back and have a look in the mirror. But seriously, can we just take a moment to collectively shudder? I really need to just get that out of my system. Anyway, if that wasn't already bad enough, take a look at this. He repeatedly insisted that she take some explicit pictures of herself, and there was no stopping him despite the setup's hesitation. But that wasn't the end of it. Oh no, he got even worse. And I think you might want to know why.
Her oral sex, and adds that as he's talking to her, he's and thinking bad.
This dude must have written the book on how to be a disgusting loser. And he was about to write a whole new chapter, because what he disclosed next was beyond disturbing. Yeah, so he was priming her to ask him questions about his junk. And although he didn't want to make her feel weird, that didn't stop him from admitting that he was completely bare and turned on while chatting with her. If that isn't the way to a woman's heart, then I don't know what is. Oh, but it doesn't stop there. John's vivid imagination kicked into overdrive, talking about some of his oral desires. Even went the extra mile, sending inappropriate content to illustrate what he wanted, not so subtly. Disgusting doesn't even cover it. But wait, this dude had a whole list of things that he wanted to do. Yeah, he showed no signs of stopping. And when I say no signs of stopping, I mean it. Because this cringeworthy chat went on for a whole month. No, I'm not kidding. When the setup decided to call him, John was utterly dumbfounded and exasperated that someone like her could be interested in him. Dumbfounded? Exasperated? John, you're not fooling anyone. Your shock is as fake as your sense of decency. At this point, the audacity of trying to feign innocence was mind-boggling. Eventually, the setup got a whole lot more than they bargained for, and our bald beaver hunter over here, well, he needed a reality check delivered with a side of legal consequences. Picture this. On the big day of the sting operation, John embarked on a 2.5-hour drive from Benton, Kentucky, navigating through the thrilling landscapes of some place called Dawson Springs. Yeah, buckle up, because this is where the unsettling part of the journey begins. John finally arrived, and as soon as he met the person he'd be chatting with, he did a potty dance.
Can you imagine I've got to pee so bad?
Yeah, it's the first door on the left.
I don't even know what I'm looking at here. John, you've earned the title of the dumbest moron in history. I mean, seriously, can we pause for a second and collectively cringe at the absurdity of this situation? But things are only gonna get worse from here. The first thing on John's agenda, he urgently requested to use the bathroom because nothing says smooth operator like rushing to the restroom immediately upon arrival. Stay classy, John. Maybe stop at a gas station first. Anyway, as soon as he was finished, he tried to be all romantic.
Gosh, you're pretty.
Thank you.
He really looked like he had never seen a woman in his life. I mean, is this guy for real? And, well, there was no end to his dirty behavior.
You,
Yeah.
I mean,
As the setup started questioning him about their plans and the explicit content he sent earlier, a thought suddenly crossed Elliot's mind.
That picture you sent me
Yeah.
with the 14-year-old girl, was she really 14?
I don't know.
It dawned on him that something might be amiss, and what did he do next? Classic backpedal. Because when caught in the act, why not try to spin it like it was all a big misunderstanding, right?
Something in me that it's not right, you know? And it's really bothering me.
Wow, could he have made it look more fake? The sudden realization, cheesy as hell, and his attempts to salvage his disturbing intentions were just as poorly executed. In the grand scheme of things, John's escapade was a cringe-worthy spectacle of poor decisions and a complete lack of self-awareness. Like, seriously, someone give this bozo a reality check, please. As for John, well, the consequences of his actions came knocking, and it was about time he faced them head-on.
You seem pretty confident on the internet in terms of what you wanted to do.
With Chris in the picture, the spotlight shifted towards our man's questionable character, and it didn't take long for him to start squirming, while making some big claims, of course.
I'm gonna be doing anything because I was worried of getting too scared and nervous about it.
Now, why were you getting so scared and nervous?
Because he got cold feet? Of course, not because it was wrong, right? But here's the kicker.
Well, just everything in my life it's all screwed up. I got a bad job.
He blamed it on fear and nerves. Seriously, dude? Yeah, blame it on the marriage while you're at it, bozo. It's not the marriage, it's you, since you're the one who showed up here. And then, as if that excuse wasn't enough, he dropped a bomb. Apparently, he didn't bother to bring protection.
Like
Yeah,
that.
what were you gonna do?
It was just oral.
Just oral.
Excuse me while I try not to gag. Anyway, Chris was also curious about his screen name, so he made sure to ask about it. And John over here did something crazy.
You think this is funny?
No, I'm
It's a
just-
big joke.
Mind you, this wasn't the only time. Now, when Chris questioned what consequences John should face, this genius decided to crack a joke.
Sent to an island.
Sent to an island.
Sent to an island. I mean, if we didn't have a legal system set up and ready to go, that wouldn't be a half bad idea. Still though, I can't tell if this was a poorly executed attempt at garnering sympathy or just good old idiotic behavior. You decide. Still, it's utterly absurd how he was treating the whole situation like it was a comedy show. But hold on, the cringe didn't stop there. When Chris called him out for making light of the situation he was in, guess what he said?
I could tell you're a therapist, I know. I mean, not
You
just.
think I'm a therapist?
Oh man, where did this dude even come from? Apparently, he was an expert in human behavior, diagnosing Chris's profession based on his tone. Even Chris couldn't believe his ears.
Yeah, by the way,
Do you think that you came over here to meet this girl and magically a therapist sat down to help you through your problem?
Forget the crime, his lack of shame was the real tragedy here. It's almost as if he was proud of being caught in such a spectacular fashion. As the tension escalated, Chris dropped the bomb that John had just walked into a Dateline investigation. The apology that followed was half-hearted at best, as he mumbled something about being pathetic.
And I know it doesn't look like it. I need to see a psychiatrist because of the way everything's going with my life.
All right. Well, why don't you go ahead?
You're not wrong, but please spare us the theatrics. Your actions speak louder than your mumbled words. Anyway, the law was knocking on his door, and it was about time. Turns out, they'd been running a statewide operation, and our comedian was the unwitting star.
Hands up! Hands up! Hands out! Hands out!
In the end, it's not just the cringeworthy excuses or the misguided attempts at humor that made this guy disgusting. It's the blatant disregard for the gravity of his actions. The disrespect towards a serious investigation and the audacity to think he could just joke his way out of this mess. Some clowns wear makeup, others wear their ignorance like a badge of honor. But hey, at least he admitted it.
Make it sound that way.
So you knew it was wrong when you came here?
Yeah, I'm serious. Instead of straight up trying to deny everything, he had the guts to admit what he did.
What brought you here tonight, John?
As the investigator tried to bring some seriousness into the room, John, the stand-up comedy hopeful, just couldn't grasp it. Jokes kept slipping out as if he was auditioning for a sitcom. Makes me wonder, Did he not understand the severity of what was going on here? Finally, reality decided to crash the party, and it hit John like a ton of bricks. The laughter faded, the jokes took a back seat, and he was left to face the harsh truth. But the shift from comedy hour to reality check didn't sit well with him. As he started explaining himself, the air in the room got heavier. The nonchalance was replaced by a palpable sense of discomfort. Then out of the blue, a surprising twist took place in the midst of this mess. John went from comedy to tragedy real quick.
I just got shot in the head.
So, John,
Join my brother.
He was weeping, pouring out his heart about how much he missed his late brother. Wait, what? I can't be the only one facing some severe tonal whiplash over here. But John decided to follow it up with something even crazier. The room fell silent. It was a chilling statement, a glimpse into the dark corners of his mind. Was it remorse, or was it just another act in his twisted play? Trust me, some confessions are more disturbing than the crimes themselves. As the detective processed this revelation, it was hard to shake off the feeling that there was more to this story. Was John trying to be manipulative, or was he genuinely unraveling under the weight of the guilt? It's a puzzle, and the pieces don't seem to fit nicely into place. Alright, now let's dive into the aftermath of this whole mess. Turns out, Karma decided to catch up with the guy. Here's the lowdown. In short, he owned up to his deed. In Warren Circuit Court, he threw in the towel and pleaded guilty to the one count of the first-degree felony that was facing him.
This is a Class B felony. Do you understand that charge?
Yes, sir.
Now, let's talk about the consequences. The charge he was facing is no joke. It's a Class B felony. If convicted, he would be looking at 5 to 10 years behind bars. But Mr. Elliott, the master negotiator that he is, agreed to a 7-year sentence. But that's not the end of it. The Commonwealth, led by Chris Caron, the county's attorney, wasn't handing out any get-out-of-jail-free cards. They were opposing probation. Sounds harsh, but considering the nature of the crime, it's hard to argue against it. But thankfully, John wasn't just getting a slap on the wrist and a timeout. Nope, he had a long road ahead. For the next 2 decades, the dude was gonna have to be on the offender registry in Kentucky. 20 years of having that label hanging over your head, talk about a scarlet letter. But wait, there's more. Even after he was done serving the time, there was a 5-year conditional discharge waiting for him too. As the legal hammer came down on him, it was hard not to feel a sense of relief. Relief that there are consequences for actions like this, that is. Given that a lot of these guys who show up on TCAP just get away with a slap on the wrist or a token couple of months behind bars, John got the book thrown at him, and I'm glad for it. But that being said, here's some stuff you might not be aware of about him. Even though John's official weight on record is 205 pounds, he straight up told her on the phone that he was 280 pounds. I mean, how he figured that would impress her is beyond me. Oh, and here's a tidbit. John was the lone wolf from the Bowling Green 7 who didn't cross state lines. So yeah, he managed to dodge federal charges. So what's your take on the dumbest dude who made it to the Sting House? Drop those thoughts in the comments. But hey, before you leave, don't forget to show some love with a like, subscribe, and join me on my channel's Discord server where we can keep this discussion going. Also, make sure you check out the next video right here. Trust me, it's gonna be even weirder.